How to Join the Elite, Part 17. Don't celebrate the small victories. Now, before I begin, we have to do some house cleaning. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson, Obsidian Media Network, and Solo TV4 for doing the collabs and having me on their hangouts. All three of those guys have been doing a great job as so far, especially with the 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time slot. I mean, you got O'Shea and then you got Obsidian. They're both competing, and look, competition is good. This is healthy competition that I like to see. I mean, Solo does his thing a bit more on a random basis and a bit more later at night, which, speaking of which, Solo and we are planning to do episode 1, the official episode 1 of Snow Bunny Sundays. Snow Bunny Sundays, where we will talk any and all things snow bunnies, or it doesn't have to be snow bunnies. It could be the brown bunnies, the beige bunnies, the lilac skin bunnies. Join us this Sunday. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to spoil too much of it. We're working on it right now, so be prepared. And the link for the episode will be down in the description once it's done. But enough of the house cleaning. We got to talk about how to join the elite. And one of the ways on how you join the elite is not celebrate small victories. What urged me to make this video was a so-called debate, or at least a roasting, should I rather say. A roasting that was ostensibly called a debate between Cynthia G and Jason Black. And if you guys don't know who they are, they're not worth looking up, neither one of them. And to be quite frankly, the reason why is that these two people are what I would like to call broke taps, conscious people, the people who claim to be conscious, but in reality, a lot of these people I like to deem as pro-wax. Now, what are pro-wax? Well, pro-wax is just a play-on term for pro-blacks, which pro-blacks are just essentially black versions of white identity extremists, white nationalists who run their mouths and go on social media and talk about white supremacy and cry and whine about it all day, but really do nothing in order to counter it, maneuver it, or even attack it. And we can all go into the reasons why. That's not what this video is about. But before I begin, if you need to identify who a pro-whack is, note these YouTubers, these hotep talking, white supremacy whining pro-whacks who they'll talk stories about white supremacy, or they'll whine about white supremacy, but they will never go after a white supremacist personally. And especially with all these YouTubers, those on the right is white side, like your Jared Taylors, your Richard Spencers, your Matt Forneys, even your Ben Shapiros. Notice how a lot of these hoteps, they'll go after other black people, and they may read some white news stories, or news stories where white people are calling black people because they got out-shadowed boxed, or they got owned in Fortnite, and then they're calling security and the police and the SWAT and the military to raid the black guy who won his house. But these hoteps themselves will not go after any of these white supremacists. Anyway, let me stop meandering. I tend to meander for a bit. And thank you guys who just subbed to my channel. Thank you guys so much. But as far as celebrating small victories, what I'm seeing from the black community as a whole, particularly black men, is a celebration of Jason Black owning Cynthia G. And let me tell you guys right now, there is nothing to celebrate over this, for multiple reasons. One, this does not change the current predicament of your community, nor of your reputation, particularly as a black man in America. I mean, what did Jason Black going in and calling Cynthia G and cooking her about her hair, and I'll show my face if you show your splits. I'll dip if you dip, and we all dip. I'll do the moringa if you do the salsa. I mean, like, dude, yeah, all right, we get it. There are times in which we need to give credit for men who stand up for us. I guess you can call this standing up for black men by default. But let's be honest. This is not a victory by any means. This does not change the current predicament of black men in America. This does not change the predicament or the status of quote-unquote white supremacy. This doesn't change anything. This is all just ships and giggles. This is all bread and circus. Everyone I'm seeing is trying to be the Monday morning quarterback or the Wednesday morning presidential candidate, but let's face facts. We can talk about this all day, and I'm not against talking about it, but what is this going to do in real life? Yes, this is going to give us a high at best, but once that high is over, a lot of us are going to come down to reality and realize that our lives suck. So, there's one reason why you don't celebrate small victories. Another reason why. Look at your opponent. Are you telling me that the average black man on YouTube is celebrating a Jason Black victory over a Cynthia G? A woman who can't even come up with a coherent thought? At least one that is actually worthwhile of debating? A woman who says she's pro-whack, although she has had signs of a former life being a possible bed witch? A woman who wouldn't be able to break a grape in a food fight? A woman who can't even grow her own hair out? A woman who wouldn't be able to bring out a Pookie and Ray Ray from a nightclub? Is this the woman that we're talking about here who everyone's celebrating because she got an L against Jason Black? Don't get me started, dude. In the words of Shao Kahn, don't make me laugh. This is pathetic. This is silly. And this is like the New England Patriots celebrating a win over the Cleveland Browns. This is like the Alabama Crimson Tide celebrating a win over, well, we'll just keep in the SEC, the Vanderbilt Commodores. This is expected. And the fact that we're celebrating this shows the low standard that we have for ourselves as black men, which lead, and I'm going to apply this to all men. I'm not going to make this race exclusive. I try to make these elite videos as race inclusive as possible. But this is from a pro-whack incident, so I'm just using this as a case study. But as far as point number 3, you have to set your expectations higher. The reason why you don't celebrate small victories, besides the fact that 1, it gets you nothing. 2, it's against opponents who, or against things that you're supposed to do, victories that you're supposed to attain easily, or opponents you're supposed to defeat without a sweat. But 3, having small victories sets your mind in the state that any sort of little victory is a win. Anything that you do is worth celebrating. Back to the football example. You don't see the likes of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick celebrating over a regular season win, or even a win that gets into the playoffs. Same thing with Nick Saban in Alabama. The only time you see these people smile is when they win the big one. Now, if you go down the list, like you got other teams like, say, the Green Bay Packers or the Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers, who, yeah, they won't celebrate regular wins. Or if you're in the college world, let me see, the Georgia Bulldogs or USC Trojans, they aren't celebrating regular wins, but if they make it to the postseason or a good bowl game, that's their standard. That's what America's standard is for them. That's when they start celebrating. Anything beyond that is worthy of celebration. Now you have other teams, like the Cleveland Browns, or, I don't know, New Mexico State. And the fact that you guys are wondering who New Mexico State is, that's exactly my point. One of the worst college football teams that I can think of. Any win that they get is a celebration. But a part of that is because their mindset has been sunk so low that any win, or God forbid, any touchdown, or God forbid, any first down or sack, that's a victory. They're celebrating and doing all sorts of gigs and jigs and And here's what I noticed when they brought back celebration dances last season. I'm for it, generally, because, as long as it doesn't disturb the flow of the game, as long as it isn't all a theatrical stage, I mean, you don't need to be flagged for excessive celebration, but notice that the teams that were good didn't do a lot of celebrating, particularly for touchdowns, for interceptions, even for victories. But the teams that weren't about anything, the teams that knew that they only had 16 games to play in the season, or 12 games if it was college, they celebrated every little victory they could. Because they knew, or rather should I say, they determined in their minds that they weren't going to make it past the regular season. So enjoy it while it lasts. That is unfortunately where black men are today. We're celebrating small victories. And that's where everyone is today, honestly. Everyone, particularly men. That's where we are today. When I look around society and see all these people who are shacked up, you got dudes who are ripped or at the very least healthy being cowherders. You got men who are in loveless marriages who jump for joy whenever it's that time of the month when the wife gives them the obligatory happy ending. You got kids, teenagers, and adults who celebrate getting a C on their report card or on a test. You have individuals who jump for joy on Friday whenever they get paid because they live paycheck to paycheck. You have individuals, against my recommendation and advice on going to nightclubs, you guys do it anyway. You jump for joy whenever you have a chick not even come home with you. Not even. If you're herding cows to your home from the nightclub, you guys are ready to throw a party. You guys are ready to drink Hennessy. As if you accomplished something. As if it's a victory. As if you win. But you guys, it's even worse now. It's even worse than the 2010s. I thought the 2000s were bad, but the 2010s? You Negroes, well, you all. I can't even say Negroes. You all. You Anglos, Negroes, Cholos, Fatos, Ahmeds, Hirohitos, Patels, all of you are celebrating whenever you get numbers. Numbers. And you don't even verify it to see if it's legit. And if it is legit, you'll text once or twice, but you'll never hear from her again. You're celebrating. You're doing ticker parades in front of my house off of getting a girl's number. And then I gotta clean that crap up because you guys are so sprung on getting to see one chick or talking to one chick that you're on the phone with her every night instead of being on your purpose. Shout out to AMS. Instead of getting your mind right, your body right, your passport. Shout out to Nagone. You guys make me sick. This is pathetic. Yes, this is a rant. And yes, the ticker parade happens. It happens all the time in front of my house. I mean, for some reason, my house is on the route that you guys want to show off and brag to everyone about how you got this and how I got it. Man, if you don't cut the lower expectation having mentality out of your life, quit it. Get some help, like Michael Jordan said. You guys need to stop celebrating these small victories. These are not worth celebrating over. These are not worth gloating over. These are not worth bragging over as if you achieved something because you didn't achieve crap. I mean, if anyone achieved something, it was Jason Black. And even him, what has he achieved except an uptick of views on his YouTube channel or more money towards his AdSense? Because if he was really speaking pro-black issues, if he was giving real game about how blacks can achieve in America, would he really be on YouTube? Really? Think about it. Same game goes for Cynthia G and all these other pro-wacks who, they'll talk about the white man all the time, bark and yell and scream and talk about white supremacy, but they won't do anything. At least not towards the white supremacists. Much less the system. And we all know what happened to those who actually threaten the system as we know it. I won't go into details, but have you guys ever wondered the reason why the likes of Synthetic G, Jason Whack, the Whack Authority, Professor Tooth, Lip Smacking Mac, all those individuals, why haven't they been flagged off of YouTube? While you have other individuals who speak real truth constantly get harassed by real beta male coons, not these beta male coons that Synthetic G is claiming to be beta male coons, but real dudes like, I don't know, your AMS or Donovan Sharps, especially back in that purge of 2017 by the failed attempt by the butthurt bitter broads of America. O'Shea Duke Jacksons, the Minister Japs, the Obsidians, Hardcore Tito's. You wonder how all those guys, or why all those guys were being chased off of YouTube or had their YouTube account suspended or had to put their YouTube channels in hiding for like a month or so. Note who the real threat is, or note who is giving out the real solutions versus those who are just giving you filler. That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day, but guys, stop celebrating small victories. Get on your purpose. Focus on what needs to be focused on so that you're able to get actual victories. And then you'll actually have something to celebrate. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.